Welcome to Emerging Ease, where we will focus on unraveling the difficulties in the midst of our journey and move toward forward progress. This program is not meant to replace any form of therapy, and you are encouraged to seek out a mental health professional if necessary. Hello, everyone. Hello. It is so good to be back. It's so good to be with you guys today. Today, we will be focusing on how to improve self-respect and self-esteem, because it's two different things, after dealing with traumatic issues. Okay. Um, there's a lot of different reasons I chose going into the topic from that direction. For one, it's something that we have not really clearly looked at before. For another, I wanted to give a new focus instead of just the, hey, I've gone through this traumatic stuff, but also, yes, I've gone through that, but where do I go from here? What can I do next? How do I not necessarily get back to where I was, but even get to a better place than where I used to be? So that's how we're going to kind of approach that today. If you guys have any comments, questions, input, please put it in the chat. Also, feel free to email me at emergingease@gmail.com, all one word. If you have any comments that you don't want to put on the air or any future topics you want to talk about, feel free to email me. Also, there is the Facebook group, Emerging Ease, has the caricature that's at the front of the show. That's the picture for the group. So feel free to join the group. All kinds of stuff in there. I try to be consistent, but it's not every single, couple of hours a day thing. But I try to put very informative and helpful, motivating things in there. So let's get started. As I usually do when we're talking about something, just so we're on the same page, I want to talk about the difference between self-respect and self-esteem, and then we'll talk about the impact that trauma has on them both. So self-esteem, in the context I'm using it today, is the confidence in one's worth and abilities. That means you have value. You recognize your value regardless of the way someone else may interact with you. Also, you recognize that you have certain abilities that are profound for you. Okay. And I say profound for you because we have, sometimes we look at ourselves and we'll compare ourselves to other people, and we'll say, well, that person can do it too. But there's sometimes a certain niche or a certain way you do things that is very impactful for certain people. Okay. For instance, there are a lot of therapists out in the world. Okay. I'm one of them. But there are certain clients that can receive differently from me than they can other people, and vice versa. There are some clients that can receive differently from other people than they can from me. Okay, so we all have our own spot, our own space, our own certain abilities. Now, self-respect. Now, this goes in connection with self-esteem, because it's a pride in oneself that's also connected to your confidence. And remember, confidence is part of self-esteem. So being able to walk with dignity, interact with people with dignity, believe that you have honor, you demand, in a sense, respect from other people, not by saying you should respect me, but by the way you respect yourself is the way other people will respect you. So with that being said, when we talk about trauma, self-esteem and self-respect can always, and usually are always, very deeply impacted by a person who's surviving a trauma. I don't like to use the V word, the victim word, but those that survive it, because you're moving forward, you're moving past it, and you're trying to, persevere in life. Now, with that perseverance and with that push past and with that push through, sometimes there's so many scrapes that happen to self-esteem, that happen to self-respect, and we don't really know where we lose it along the way. We don't really know where it kind of falls apart along the way. Or where, kind of, if you cut the bottom of a bag, stuff will start to gradually come out, where that even happened. So with improving those two aspects, the self-respect and self-esteem after experiencing trauma, one thing to do would be to recognize, and this is something that in working with victims, as I have, because I've worked on both sides, the people who have been criminals or offenders, and those have been impacted by those folks' actions, is looking at where the blame is. Where do you put the blame for whatever trauma, especially if that trauma is a person trauma, like direct contact or a secondary contact with a person, and that's where the trauma is stemming from. If it's from a person, many times that person may interact with you in a way that's very manipulative, very downplaying of your importance, downplaying of your abilities, downplaying of what value you have as a person, because every single person is valuable. And so therefore, there is that need to get to that spot and close that hole up. Identify that if this person truly believed that, would they have been so focused in telling you what you don't have, what you're without? Would they, if you had none of that, would they even have focused in on you in the first place? Usually with people who have experienced trauma from a person like that, it is very difficult for them not to believe that person. And it's because they've put so much value on what that person says. Because usually that person will also attempt to become a wedge and a separation between them, the person they're trying to be harmful toward, and other people that would be supports. So with that wedge successfully placed, sorry y'all, I'm stumbling over my words and choking on them today. I need some water and I left it out in the car, so it's boiling by now. But with that wedge being put in place from the support in that person, there's no one to come in and encourage that person to challenge those thoughts. Because many times people say, well, you should have been stronger. You should have been able to realize that that person, was just trying to be hurtful. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. When a person has experienced that, the thing is, so many times we don't realize as people the importance of interactions with other people and what big impact those interactions can have. When we're having uh, interactions with people that are having difficult interactions with us, and we don't have anyone else to bounce that off of or anyone else to give us a charge, because also we have to realize our interactions with other people are charging. Okay. And when I say charging, I mean it's pouring into us some things that, whether we're talking about something that's been traumatic or not, it's given us a place to restart. It's given us like a top off. Like for instance, add some more ice to the tea, or add a fresh gulp of cold water because I'm really thirsty to your water jug. Okay, that's what other people are doing to us that are positive supports. So when we're cut off from that, not only do we not have that person to bounce anything off of, say, you know what, this person told me this. What do you think? Because this is the way it impacted me. But then also it's not anyone, regardless of whether they know or not, to say, you know what, you're awesome. I love the way you're able to do or say or interact with blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we need to be really, really mindful of how that can impact us as people. So look at where the hole was cut, how to mend it. Be honest and open, but kind to yourself as you mend it. So many times people will say and not even realize, well, you stayed through whatever that negative interaction was, or you should have got tired of that a long time ago. You should have done this. You should have done that. I wish people wouldn't say that. I really do. But, people will do what they don't understand. And by saying that, it's not saying that you gave any okay to that interaction with those people or that person. What it is saying of the person that's saying those types of things is that you were in a place where your choices may not have been focused on what was healthier for you. So therefore, in doing and maintaining those interactions, it's not that you were sitting there a glutton for punishment or hoping that, things would just miraculously stop with this interaction. What it was is sometimes people feel like there's absolutely no way out. Absolutely no way out. And with not feeling like there's a way out and feeling stuck, then that's what feeds that, well, this is the most I can do, or this is the best interaction I could possibly have, or this mirrors a prior interaction I have. So this must be all that I am destined for. So being mindful of that. And if you think about it, if you really think about it, there is a lot that a person does on the manipulative side to break a person down mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. And it's a form of violence. It is a form of violence. Even though you may not see physical scars on a person, there are emotional and mental scars that can run so deep and for so long. And people can mask those even better than people use makeup to mask physical scars. And when people mask those emotional, mental, and spiritual scars, they don't realize that those people interacting with them will be able to see those scars, even though they attempt to avoid acknowledging them. Moving forward is the next step. After you've found that opening, identify how and where you need to move forward. So when we return from the break, I will talk about moving forward and that and some more to kind of bounce back to reinforce self-esteem and self-respect. I do want to encourage you to tune in tomorrow from 5:30 to 6 p.m. so that you can listen to the featured artist on Featured Album Friday. Also, please tune in from Sunday through Friday from 8 p.m. To listen to Whisper Softly, 8 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. All right, we'll be back after this break.
Required listening with Amazon Music.
Dad music again?
The greatest guitarist of all time.
Wait, who?
Alexa, add this song to a new playlist.
Sure, what's the new playlist name?
Jack's Intro to Classic Rock.
Adding Stepping Stone by Jimi Hendrix to Jack's Intro to Classic Rock playlist.
Amazon Music, the simplest way to listen to the music you and soon he will love. New customers start your 30-day free trial at AmazonMusic.com. Renews automatically, cancel anytime.
All right. Thank you very much. Welcome back. All right. So we're just about to start talking about moving forward after mending that space. In mending that space, I kind of want you to think about amending is like bringing it back together. It's not that it's completely sealed and it's impenetrable. Okay. So it's still got a weak spot there. And moving forward, we have to always be mindful that in our interactions, not to drag the past forward with us. It's in the past for a reason. It's supposed to stay there, especially if you've ended that communication. And I want to be specific. I don't just mean relationship communication. Sometimes family can be abusive. Sometimes friends can be abusive. Sometimes coworkers can be abusive, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Okay. So with that being said, to be mindful that moving forward is not just in a domestic side as far as a dating, committed or relationship, anything like that. But when you're moving forward, identify what you want to keep and what you don't want to keep. Be truthful with yourself. I do want to keep the fact that, I know I have strength, but I don't want to keep the negative self-talk that I developed in the past. So I'm going to have to do something to begin to challenge that, to begin to move forward, to begin to press forward more into what I'm looking for in the future. With that being said, as you push forward and press forward, allowing yourself to say to yourself, even verbally, the things that were said to me were not appropriate. The things that were said about me were not appropriate. The things that the interactions I had with this person, I don't ever want to repeat again. Because the thing is, when we put that in the forefront of our thinking, what we do want, what we don't want, we're able to move in a way that allows us to start shedding that extra weight, start shedding that kind of cobweb connection that we've had. We're able to do something different and recognize red flags that have, sorry, excuse me, that have been in our face with maybe the next friend, the next coworker, the next dating relationship, the next, interaction you have. And you're able to set those boundaries up front. You're able to say, I choose to communicate like this. I choose to accept this back from you as a form of appropriate communication. I also choose to reserve the right to end this communication or connection at any given time if it continues to be negative, inappropriate, or hurtful. So it gives you power, and that power then begins to help you rebuild and reestablish self-respect and self-confidence. Excuse me, and self-esteem, which is connected to self-confidence. Being mindful what happened in the past was not your fault, and not to hold on to the guilt of that or the shame of that. And often a person who is interacting with you in a manipulative way is doing so in a way to support guilt and shame and even fear of either a confrontation with them or fear of loss of them. Because without them, then you're nothing. Okay. And then also, just to kind of put it in perspective, if you if this person is giving you value, they're willing to give up at least 50% of their value to you. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why would a person say, well, you're nothing without me? Why wouldn't you go find someone that you can be double who you are with them if this person is so invaluable? So it kind of helps you put in perspective. Really, don't that person trying to put that mindset off on you is a person that does not feel valued themselves. They don't feel like they have an appropriate space and all the skills and abilities that you have. They don't have the connections that you have. And sometimes it's really driven by jealousy that people like that with those types of mindsets connect to other people. Um, with setting healthy boundaries, start to do things that allow you to care for yourself. And caring for yourself gives you the peace, the strength, the ability, the focus to say, you know what, I give myself permission to take a break. I give myself permission to care for myself, to say, you know what, I'm tired. I need to like recharge in some kind of way. I need to pour into myself or find something that pours into me. Um, Practice assertiveness. Now, mind you, assertiveness is not the same as aggressive. Assertiveness, emotionally, mentally, verbally, and spiritually, even physically, is necessary and healthy for everyone. Okay. Now, the aggressive part comes when it's just way too much and it's being done in a way that is attempting to either hurt someone because you're trying to get them before they get you, or you want to hurt someone because you want to get them to feel the way you felt in the past. Because the irony of some people that have experienced abusive or manipulative situations with other people is that those folks know what it feels like to be on the receiving end of it, but what they do to protect themselves in the future is that they will sometimes begin to be the manipulator, the hurter, and toward another person, the boundary breaker toward another person. And in doing that, it's keeping that vicious cycle going. It's not allowing this person to really heal from what they had dealt with. And on top of that, they're handing that off to someone else. Sometimes that can be children that the abused person or the hurt person interacts with and gives that off. That's how generational trauma happens. Sometimes it can be the next person that they have a relationship or a friendship or career interaction with. And then that cycle can keep going if that person that they interact with allows that to keep going, as well as they'll keep interacting with people like that. And it becomes so, as they see it, a protection for them, that it reinforces those behaviors, but it's still hurting other people. And then it kind of causes a ripple effect. With that ripple effect, I want to encourage people to, if you find yourself in that, as far as a person that has gone through a difficult situation, and that you're using the behavior of the person that was negative towards you as a way to protect yourself, you can choose to change that. If you find yourself in a difficult situation and you see that, hey, this situation is not for me, you can change that. Excuse me, my voice is going. I do, before I forget, want to give out this 800 number and text number. It's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I give this hotline because anyone and everyone at any given time in their life can experience domestic violence and be a victim and be victimized by it. I apologize. And feel like there's no way out. However, there are supports. I encourage you, if you put this in your phone, especially if you're in a domestic violence situation, put this number under a person's name in your phone that you know that it's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And that's 1-800-799-7233. Also, there's a text message number. You can text the word START, START, to 88788. With that text, that will put you in contact with someone that can chat with you via text. They may encourage you, like, hey, after we finish texting, or if you need to hurry up and get off, delete the conversation. Okay. If they encourage you to do that, please do that, just for your protection. If you know someone that needs these resources, please give it to them in the most discreet way possible. Please don't go over there yelling through the front door or window, talking about, well, I got this 800 number, this text number, and I'm going to give it to them so they can get away from you. Don't do that. Do it in the most inconspicuous way you can. To not bring any further negative attention or hurt to that person that's in the situation. But I encourage you, keep that number and that resource. And I do appreciate that nowadays more agencies are starting to get into the text chatting and the social media aspect of helping people in our community, because sometimes you can't always be on the phone having a conversation because it's not safe, or it's not enough time to have the conversation that needs to be had. All right, y'all. I want to thank you for tuning in today. I thank you. I appreciate you so much for tuning in to Emerging. Your host, Keisha. If you ever have any questions, comments, or anything, please feel free to email me at emergingease@gmail.com. Also, please join the Facebook group, Emerging Ease. All right. I'll see y'all next week. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you for taking such a time as this to participate in your personal improvement with Emerging Ease. I'm Keisha, your host. Remember that in everything, there's an opportunity to learn and grow. If you are experiencing a difficult time, please reach out to the National Crisis Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. And I look forward to hearing from you next week on Emerging Ease with Keisha.